So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh my god, that's so embarrassing. Well, no, that was in, I think that was October 2020.
Yep.
I think this shit we do for school, bro.
Yeah.
Shit we do.
Yeah.
No, but I gotta thank you because I needed help with that, so you thanked me. Well.
Well, here we are. This is episode 3 of Off Brand, right?
Fuck yes. And I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but that's a guy getting a tattoo, right? It's nothing, nothing explicit going on.
Yeah. So we are here at Ink Studios. I always thank God for Seven because she's always putting out, providing the space and stuff for the show, for our voice visions. So yeah, we are here for Off Brand, and so if you hear some tattoo sounds in the back, hey, they're putting in work. So shrooms, to me, I thought at the beginning would be, I'd be in some cartoon universe with like colors flying everywhere, going crazy and stuff. But it wasn't that. It was actually like an older brother giving me a pat on the shoulder and being like, sit down and let's talk. We have to have the talk or whatever. That's how it felt, at least for me. So it was a very humbling experience. And then, like I said, going into it, and I have people in my life that maybe were judgmental about it. And I don't say judgmental like they were negative about it, but they just didn't understand it. And then so now having tried shrooms the first time or the second time or whatever, like I have a whole new understanding of psychedelics and what they are.
That's right, because I know before we tried it together, you tried it.
It was very taboo, you know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, but you tried it first, right? By yourself.
Yes.
I think it was at nighttime. You said you saw pretty much everything around you started moving, and it was at nighttime, so it's kind of freaky, right?
Yeah, so it was actually my cousin and I, we were gonna go play basketball outside, try to be with nature or whatnot, and but he hadn't come home from work yet, and I didn't wait. Oh no, I'm sorry. He was taking a shower, and I didn't wait for him to finish to get ready and all that. I just started. So once the first wave started hitting me, my reality started to change, like literally, and so I had to close my eyes. And anytime I would close my eyes, I see like figures and colors and all that stuff, all the cartoon universe stuff, right? We're talking about.
It was dark, right? Even though it was nighttime.
Even though it was dark, nighttime, like there's maybe one light in the room, like, and then I would close my eyes and just see stuff like that. So, anyway, start to feel a little bit anxious, and then finally I'm like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta be with nature. And it sounds funny, but that's the truth, all right? That's how I would describe the feeling. So finally we go outside, and it was just like the term night and day, just a different feeling. So yeah, we just spent the night, playing basketball, throwing up shots, missing a lot, obviously, but it was a very relaxing experience. But I noticed how it's psychological, right? The term is psychedelics. It's very psychological, and so it's what your thoughts. The thoughts that sometimes you brush away in your mind or throughout the day or whatever, they all come at you. So you have to make a decision. And for some people, it's hard to make certain decisions right away, especially if there's trauma behind it, especially if there's something there. So yeah, but like I said, I'm just chucking up shots, 3-pointers, little jump shots, layups or whatever. But in my mind, I'm just thinking all this stuff about my life and whatnot. So some good, some bad, but like I said, I had to make a decision about these things. Like, how am I going to go about it? These experiences. So a lot of it, like especially the most traumatic experiences and stuff, like I said, okay, it happened. We're past that, and it was like you were was it compartmentalized? What's the word? You put things in pockets, or you.
Oh, I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah, like let's say in files or something. You're trying to organize. So that's what it is. You organize your memories, your traumas, and all that stuff. Some stuff you put away, you never, you're like, okay, you need reconciliation, and then you pocket it away, and that's it. Some stuff comes up, and it's like a learning experience every time. But yeah, man, overall, like I said, shrooms, at least because we're on the topic of shrooms.
That's your first experience.
Yeah, my first
Is it
experience.
okay if I
Absolutely.
tell you my portion of the second because that was the second time we did it.
Right. The second
So
time
the second
was at the
time-
beach.
Right. The
Right.
second time we did shrooms was and it was my first time. It was his second time. It was in I think Holliver Beach, up there. So we take 3.5, which is the recommended amount for beginners. 3.5 grams, right? I hadn't eaten much that day because you told me like don't eat too much because you might feel a little bit nauseous.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 hours afterwards, I'm still feeling like damn, maybe those shrooms are duds. You get me? Like maybe that shit was fucking dud, and I wasn't feeling much. But then that's when like yeah. And then I started hearing some droning sounds, which is similar to what you heard the last time you did it, right?
Yeah. So, like I said, I had been waiting for my cousin to get out of the shower,
Right.
and so when the water hits the bottom of the bathtub, right, it makes a certain sound with the metal, right? And this is a big rush of water. Like I could hear each drop, just
So
in my
your
ear.
senses were in a way
And
amplified.
heightened. Yeah,
Freaking
amplified.
Daredevil
Yeah.
here.
Exactly. It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah, so I felt that, but imagine being maybe like 20 feet inside the ocean, right? Like, and then actually before we went to the beach, the sky was blue, right? I remember you clearly saying, "Hey, you see that sky? Yeah, that shit is gonna turn purple." No doubt it did. It did. So I started hearing dronings when I first started kicking in. I'm like, oh fuck, yeah, okay, so here it's coming.
Mm.
And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Midsummer. Well, at the beginning when they take whatever they took, I think it was shrooms too, or like LSD. Your vision starts to get blurry, and I did see, my vision started to get blurry. We would come out of the water, and then sometimes in the water. Flowing out of the water, I felt like I was learning how to walk again. I was like literally like almost tumbling, almost. And a weird sensation was like, wow, like I'm really here. Like this is my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're literally in South Florida in Holliver Beach right now. It was a Sunday, like 3:30 p.m. And I was thinking like, wow, like I'm in this portion of the universe, right? Like my life, however like small it might be, it's here and it exists, and we're going through this, and there's this world that we belong to. And somehow I was getting the feeling like all of this was going to be taken away from me. Like the world was going to go back to zero sum and start from the beginning. Like a new blank state. Like starting a new video game. And then I would be the one to recreate this from scratch. But my mind was thinking, dude, I'm not a genius. I'm not like, somebody who knows how to like, I don't know, do electronics or whatever. So I was thinking in my head, wow, if I was like tasked to restart the world and make it how it is right now, it wouldn't take millions of years. It would take me billions of years. Because seriously, how the hell does Bluetooth work? If you give me like a couple of like pliers and nails, it'll be billions of years before like we have.
I can't even draw a perfect circle. Like.
Exactly. So that's what I was thinking. And then when it really hits you, that's when what you just explained, like the the psychological part of it, I couldn't have not said it better. I saw some of my dead relatives, and I was like having conversations with them. I made a playlist for that occasion, and then I started hearing that music, and the music itself was talking to me, like literally, like the artist was talking to me. And I know like if we probably ate more, it would have done a little bit more. But then you said something like, oh, recently, like last time you did it, you took only a portion of it, and you low-key felt the same sensation. So that was interesting to hear from you.
I took a microdose, right? And like for me, I don't even remember. Maybe it would have been like 1.5 or something, or 2 grams or something. It wasn't the 3.5 that we took. But yeah, I still got to see, I remember there was a rainbow. And like...
That was during the day.
During the day, and I'm at the same basketball court, But I call it the park, Yeah. But anyway, so I'm there chucking up shots, and I see this rainbow, and the rainbow starts to like shift in the air. Like I was just like, oh, okay, that's the most that I saw, and then I just went back inside. One of my family members has a dog, so I had to take care of the dog that week. So yeah, I was with the dog. I was on the floor laughing in my room, and the dog was just licking my face.
Wow.
Like it was such a great
Yeah,
feeling.
yeah,
But
yeah. Well, at least you didn't like have bad experiences. Well, I'm not saying that there haven't been bad experiences, and
Right.
we know a couple of people that have tried shrooms and they had bad experiences. And unfortunately for them, they got more than what they bargained for. Then
Right.
again, like from what I've heard in that specific experience I'm telling you about, they did mix stuff. So if you guys ever do that, just beware and be careful. Now, if you want to move on to the other one, so from shrooms, you're like, okay, we got shrooms out of the way. The next one that we tried to tackle and you did some way was LSD.
I think we managed it. We didn't tackle it, but we
Yeah,
managed it.
No, I meant like it kicked our ass.
Oh,
In a way,
okay.
LSD, aka acid. That one, again, for those of you who don't know, LSD is not completely natural. It's
No,
lab
it's-
made.
yeah.
So there's like specific chemicals in it that triggers neurons in your brain.
Mhm.
And so what you're seeing is literally probably what I would consider the most, I guess it's one of the most trippiest things you can probably experience in this lifetime. So you want to go into, or do you want me to do it? Because the way I wanted to do it is like we started with we took the tab, small as hell. You take it through your mouth.
You can go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we did it at 4:30, and when that evening we went to go see a movie, Tenet, and coincidentally the movie is about going back in time in some way. So halfway through the movie, everything's fine, whatever. And it was only after, like towards the end of the movie, where again I started seeing blurry visions. The screen was like moving, and then we were looking at each other. We're like, oh fuck, it's gonna happen anytime soon.
Yep.
But the movie finished. We started walking back to your place. It was already like 7 or like 6:37.
Yeah, the sun. I
The
think.
sun was going down.
Yeah.
Right, and then that's when things started to
Really
to
take
get-
into effect.
Right. So there's this lake where you live by, and this lake that we went by, we were just talking shit. But then, again, I started hearing that droning sound again. But the sky, it was like overcast, even though it was already dark. It was overcast and it was nice. Usually it's gray, right? But then this time, because the effects were starting to kick in, the sky started turning like yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lightning yellow, right? And then the droning, every time like I would move my face, you would hear it. And then we decided, all right, it's starting to kick in. We decided, all right, let's go to your car.
Yeah. I wanted to also just mention where we were, because I live right next to an airport. So we were, every plane that was passing by, every radio signal, we were probably picking it up.
In a way,
like-
yes, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I remember the airplanes.
So it was a little
trippy,
overwhelming.
trippy.
So we went back to the car.
But here, check this out. What we didn't know was that was like the easy part.
Yeah.
It's sort of, so to speak.
Yeah.
So when we got to your car, that's when everything just went out the window. That's when we went into
That's right.
Wonderland, down the rabbit hole. And we just came from that place again, and I was like, man, last time I was here, I was literally tripping balls. Everything about, everything you experienced, everything you know about what you think you know about life, in a way, and every experience is different. But what I felt was that everything I experienced, everybody I ever knew, was in that car. And I would move around, and I would see like a timeline, right? And I was like, whatever I would think, that's what my mind would hallucinate, even though it wasn't there. So obviously, like if I'm taking acid, it's an illegal substance, right? So I'll think, man, I could go to jail for this. So just that word jail, it will bring up the word like cop, and I'll see like cop lights outside and hear sirens, even though they weren't there. You get me? And then
Yeah.
it started to rain, and then instead of seeing the raindrops like drop normally, like they usually do, they started like going backwards. I don't know if it's
Like
because we
Tenet?
saw right, we saw a movie again. That movie, like half of it is in reverse. Spoiler alert. But anyways, I think that's what was tripping me out the most.
Yeah.
So the cool thing, part of it, was the music. Whatever, like music you would play, you would feel like you were like performing with that artist or like seeing them live. I remember one of the songs that played was Tyler the Creator, and I was at a concert with him, literally at a concert with him, like performing next to him, next to like a full ass venue of people, the crowd, and that was great. That was true. That was cool.
That's
I was
dope.
like, yo, that's dope. And then you wouldn't notice again, like you transcend space and time. Like you won't
notice
really
time.
recognize like when the songs switch, but that like all like whole bunch of songs that I have in my playlist, like I experienced them. It's kind of weird to say, but then not all the songs I had in my phone were in Spotify were great.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were like really dark. You get me? Like
Yeah.
that one, like
Yeah.
Beth Haven.
Yeah.
Man, I swear to God, like okay, we need.
Is
to
that the
switch
one where
this.
it's like a preacher or
Talking
somebody
about
in the
how-
street? Yeah. Yeah.
Talking about how
There's
yeah,
bells
you're like,
tolling in the
You're
background.
like, nah, bro. Like we gotta. switch
At that
this shit.
point, I think I had seen your phone, like you had let go of the phone or something, but it was like right in front of you,
Yeah.
and I had to just grab the phone and press
Yes.
pause and then
Yeah.
to the next song because
Yes. Yeah.
it was
true.
whatever the song we were listening to, the mood.
Yeah.
That's how it affected us.
Absolutely,
Like,
man. Absolutely. And
yeah.
that's when I low key started like having a little bit of a panic attack. But it wasn't a panic attack. I was just like pretty much just kind of freaking out. But thank God, like you were there, and thank God your cousin was there. He was spotting us.
For the
a
beginning.
while,
In the beginning, yeah.
And he's like, no, you'll be alright. You know? And then he's like, you might feel this for 12 hours though. And I was like, oh fuck, 12 hours? Oh my God, what fucked up. Anyways, I would like hold my chest and be like, alright, just calm down. And then we, what was I saying? Good thoughts, positive thoughts. That was
Yeah,
just,
good
like,
thoughts,
repeating
positive
that.
thoughts.
I was just repeating that.
Yeah.
But no, like again, this. You know how I said like when I took shrooms, I felt like the world was gonna restart to zero.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here's what I felt on acid. That was like amplified times 100. Up to that point, we were parked at that car. I saw like the recent events leading up towards that, and now there's this theory that waking up from all this is when you take acid. I low key did kind of feel that because I saw like I was like not reborn. I want to say it sounds so cliche, but I felt like so this is what they're keeping away from people.
The Matrix.
Right. So I was like,
The
so
Matrix.
it took us this amount to find like this low key answer. It's not an answer per se, but you start realizing that a whole bunch of like what people work for, like money or like pride or just ego, all of that is low key in some ways bullshit. You know what I mean? Like you have to. I saw like you have to appreciate like the people you're with,
Yeah.
the people that you love, your family, your friends, whoever. All right. And then I saw, you get me, like everything going back in time, and I thought to myself, fuck, I don't want to experience what I've already experienced, especially like the bad parts, all over again.
Right.
It's like no, like
Yeah,
that's why-
nobody wants to do that.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right. But I was trying to like retain the information that I've learned up to that point. So like if I ever go back to that, to the past,
Right.
I would like be prepared.
Make
for it.
the right decision.
Exactly.
Quote,
And
unquote.
then not only that, not only like past my life, I saw like shit was gonna go back even way back, like
Caveman
medieval
times?
caveman times, yeah. And low key had to like tell them about what's in store and what they can improve on. That's what I felt, and never like completely went because then that's when we started like coming down from that
Right.
low key. But I think if people take more than one tab, they take maybe like 2. I know people have taken 4.
Yeah.
They may get to that point, but again, in a way, it's all in your head, right? Because I was like seeing people park next to us, and then they wouldn't even stay there, but I felt like they were like there for like an eternity, and it was weird, man.
Yeah,
It was weird.
because we were outside and it started to rain. That's why we went to the car, I think, in the
Yes.
first place. And then being in such a confined area, it's just, it was the worst.
Yes.
That was the worst thing we could have done.
Maybe it could have been.
But
I feel like if I was outside, I probably would have like bothered some people, and then they would have like done some stuff. You get me? But I will say this. It was raining, and then we did have water. We drank some water. It came
Yeah.
to a point where like damn, like we have to piss, right? So we went to the to next to the canal because we weren't going to go to your place. You get me? So check this out. I don't watch the show Euphoria, but I did like see a post online on Instagram. There is this one scene where like the main character, I don't know her name. Well, it's the one that's Zendaya. Like,
Zendaya, yeah.
anyways, the scene is that I think she takes either like heroin or something, and I don't know. I don't know how heroin is, but the scene is pretty much she's walking like a hallway at a house, and then like the hallway like starts turning into like a 360, and she's like stumbling, and she keeps walking, the floor, and then the walls, and then the ceiling, as if she's still walking straight, but the room is turning.
Whoa.
So when we had to go step outside to take a piss, it was like raining, and it was lightning, right? And I felt that sensation. You get me? Like I was walking and like, oh crap! Like this is like I'm not trapped in a box, but like in like a hallway, and this hallway is like turning.
Oh my
Right?
God.
And then every time lightning struck, I felt like it was like paramedics like trying to revive
Right,
me.
yeah,
With,
yeah.
like the
Defibrillator?
fertilizer, right,
Yeah.
right. And then I saw myself in like a gurney, and my parents were like, "What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Seriously, like
Yeah.
really, like you have to resort to this." And I'm like, "Fuck, you're right." Sunday evening, like usually I'm at home watching football, with my brother eating chips, and I was like, "You're right. Like, what the fuck am I doing?" Like, and then the thing is, like, I just wanted to touch the stove.
Mm.
The stove was red hot, right? The stove was red hot, right? And I wanted to touch it. And then this was us touching that stove,
Yeah.
realizing, okay, that stove is hot.
Yeah.
Well, you want to
There's.
touch it again? I mean, if you want, you can. You'll just get burned. But
Right.
now we know that if we touch that stove, it'll be hot. So in a way, it's like a cautionary tale. And for those out there who are curious about it, again, just go at it with, what do you call it?
Just
With
be
precautions,
cautious, yeah.
Exactly, like have a
Be
spotter
smart.
and all that, yeah. So that honestly, like,
Safety
was
is number
crazy,
one.
Crazy, yeah.
Safety is number one.
Yeah. And then like after we started coming down, like we did say a lot of personal stuff. I still like, I'm like, fuck, I low key overshared, but not all of it was true, which was weird because, when you're at that peak, you just like
You're just irrational.
rational. Right. But then like the next day, like I had work. When I woke up, I felt like my brain was like restarting, like my neurons were like firing up, like a computer rebooting.
Right.
So that was trippy, man. That was trippy. But again, I don't take it for granted. It's something like, okay, like we've been there, done that. We know that's out there. That's the edge of a cliff. I'm not going to that edge of the cliff ever again.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I have a lyric in one of the songs I just dropped, Immortal. It's called, it says, basically, you're just a drop in the ocean. Like, and I feel like that's what we are. Like, in this whole universe, I don't know if there's other, aliens on other planets or whatever, but from what I know, that's it. You're just a drop in the universe. You're one guy in South Florida. Then you start opening up the map a little bit in the United States, on the east, in the Western Hemisphere, whatever, right? So it's very humbling.
It is.
But at the beginning, it's shocking too,
It is.
because it's like you're looking at yourself in the mirror, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe the past you or whatever, right? Your traumas, and you're facing them.
Yes.
And for some people, it's very shocking, overwhelming.
You
They
have
don't
to be
like
mentally,
it.
like, prepared for it. Because I was
Yeah.
thinking, like, right now I can break down at any time, but I was fighting to not do that. I was like, fuck. And by the way, like, you had a third eye, by the way.
Yes.
Literally, I looked at you, you had, like, a third eye right there.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
like,
but I
holy
felt
fuck.
that way too. I felt like awake, but that's just like it influences your neurons. So like, you can get all scientific with
Yeah.
it, but at the end of the day, you learn something. The point is to learn something.
Yeah. And I was also gonna mention, like you said, like you face your deepest things.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I would see like visions of Native Americans. I would see visions of very religious scholars, monks, even like portions of like the Hindu religion.
Mhm.
So it was crazy because I saw all these civilizations and they're all striving towards something, right? Like, what is the meaning of all this? What is the
Exactly.
answer? Is there a God? Or what is the purpose of human beings? And then I saw all those people like on that same journey, and they do have their portions of it. You know, like the Native Americans have peyote, the South Americans have ayahuasca, you know,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. But the bottom line is that who I considered at the end of the day talking to what I considered God was myself, which was weird because you saw it. I was pretty much speaking to the sky, but it was me. And he was like, you know, there's no answer, right? And this is again just my personal stuff. Like he was telling me, like, you know, there's no answer, right? It's like, all right. And I'm like, yeah, there isn't. And I'm like, all right, so like stop worrying so much. You know, just live your life. You know, try to be happy. Try to find some joy. Don't worry about the rest. That's my take from it. Everyone's gonna be different. But then again, that's what I find.
Yeah, no, I definitely got something different, you know. But it's like your experience is not wrong. It's your experience.
Yeah.
But like in my experience, I actually, after everything, like I feel even more connected that there is a higher power. Like I feel more connected with that notion. Like I've pretty much said it on this show, and I know we've both talked about it. But like at least my background growing up, like I was always in the church, right? Talking about the God and the Christian God and evangelism, and you have to make disciples of all nations and all that stuff and that notion. But anyway, like I would say after the first time I remember looking back at some of my past relatives and dead relatives and having conversations with them, and and then I think now to my last trip that I had, which I microdosed, I realized that too. It took me to my last microdose of just psychedelics in general to like realize, that there is, spirituality, that's a little bit different. You think that there is a God or that there is no God, but the point is that there is no concrete answer.
Yeah.
And the point is to live, because when you live, that's the meaning of life. Go out there and have experience
Like,
stuff.
don't die wondering.
Don't die wondering. Exactly. Don't be stupid.
Right.
Be courteous. Be kind. Be love people.
I have to put a discretion.
Disclaimer.
Yeah. We're not responsible.
But like the point is to live. Go out and create. For myself, I'm an artist and I love making music. I love the podcast and doing all that stuff. Find your thing. Find your voice or your. I think that's the most woke that you can be. You want to talk about third eye? That's it. Letting go of the ego that gets in the way.
I was gonna mention also, like, this is your like Billy Williams story. You know that song from Saba? I quote it so much all the time, especially at the end. He calls him. Well, I don't know who calls who, but pretty much he's like, like it goes like, oh, all I ever wanted to do was make music. Right?
The bucket list, right?
Yeah. Like nobody has to listen to it. Like I just want to know, like I did that. Went out there and chased my dreams, and that's really it. So again, it's props to you. You found that, and I grew up in the church too. You know what I mean? Like I know all not all, but a good amount of the Bible. So it was very, very spiritual too. Like when I was doing psychedelics, it was very, 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 very spiritual. So again, like it was trippy. It was quite the experience. It's humbling, like you said.
Yeah, man.
But we just have to like approach it with caution. I think when at the day at the beach when we did shrooms, I was like, okay, I get it. I get why people get addicted to this. I get why people like want to live in that world forever. I get why people stay hippies. I get that oneness, that one piece, because at the peak of it, everything was connected. Like it was euphoria.
I remember because it was the three of us, and I remember looking to my left, looking to my right, and like everybody was in their own zone. Per se. Yeah. Peace out, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that we what you were saying about Euphoria, just not the actual show, but the word
Yes.
Euphoria. That's how I felt too when we did the shrooms the first time at the beach, because I had these sunglasses as well,
Okay. Well.
and anytime I would take off the glasses, the light would just hit me all at once, and I'd see like sparkling lights or whatever right on the water, and it just looked like a dream world, right? And some people, that's where addiction comes in. Some people want to revisit that, but and like I said, I'll just say it again. For my last microdose, I noticed that, you know, even under the trip, I realized, and hey, for some people, they don't have to do drugs to realize.
True.
But the point is that the point of searching, there is no point. You know what I'm saying? Like for that happiness or for that like that one thing that's gonna do it for you, there isn't that one thing. You know, it's deeper than that. Yeah, bro. Spitting facts. But yeah, like that whole searching, like you already have what you have, and what you don't have, you don't have it. You know, if it's money that you're looking for, like yeah, you'll get it. But then what? 'Cause there's bills. You gotta spend the money and all that stuff.
I was gonna say something about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I view it as a summit, right? So I think my life has been a summit. Like the hand I was dealt with, there's always, you get to a place and there's another summit.
Yeah.
Oh crap, I'm close.
Another
And then when you get to that
climb, another mountain.
Right. We're still
Yeah.
growing, bro. We're still growing.
Yeah.
We're still leveling up.
Hey, and for some people, like they can't do it. They see the peak of the mountain. They see, it's windy. It's a little bit unstable, and they're like, nah, I'm good. But for others, they're like, yo,
It's a challenge.
I just reached the top of the mountain. Let's get the next one. And like, speaking of which, and I know we'll get into it, but the Klitschko brothers, the Hall of Fame boxing legends. One of them is actually the mayor of Kiev, I believe in Ukraine, and he's having to take up arms and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back to the point, I saw this like training that he does or whatever. Like, guy's peak condition. I don't know how old he is, but he actually climbs mountains too. So that picture just popped in my head. But yeah, man, for some people, they're just made like a Mike Tyson or like, I don't know, any of these legends in sports that you look at. They just have that knack, Kobe, where it's like they reach that peak of the mountain, they're like, all right, like, yeah, I averaged 30 points, a triple-double this season, got the MVP.
When I asked him game 2, it's like, how do you feel about this? Shouldn't you be happy?
Yeah.
Job's not finished.
Yeah, job's not finished for some people, and I think that motivates me at least. So I wake up every day and I realize, like, okay, I need to improve this way, I need to improve that way. But I think it took me all these different experiences to get to that point, to kind of knock my ego a little bit.
I don't know. The reason we kind of like decided to start with that video at the beginning, that dance video, it's just an icebreaker. Something I think it's very stupid, but it's low key kind of funny. I realized from that video is that I wasn't using my hips as much.
Just all arms.
As compared as
no
to
hips.
that the actor in that video, like, bro, he rocked that shit.
Yeah,
and apparently he rocked that shit in the first take. So, and they brought him back for like the 10-year anniversary.
Really?
Release. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
So he did it pretty good.
It's dope.
But yeah, that, I don't know if you noticed, bro. That was October 2020. I looked at myself and I'm like, bro, I was low key like chubby a little bit because I've always been like 135, 140, right? But in 2018, I reached my highest. I was 160.
Oh,
and
wow.
Even my aunt from El Salvador, they've always seen me as a scrawny kid.
She made a comment?
She was over here, she's like, hey, you got fat. And if I yelled at her in Spanish, she was like, you got fat. And
She
I'm
wasted
like,
no time.
yeah. And then last year in May, I had 2 blood tests.
Okay.
One of the blood tests showed that I had a high cholesterol. Not too high, they say there's a spectrum. I was like at the lower end of that spectrum, but it's still high cholesterol. And I thought to myself, fuck, 10 years from now, I'm going to be like, 35, 36. And then I'm going to be 40 years old. Do you really want to be a 40-year-old with your belly, fat as fuck, unhealthy, not fit, not exercising? And then at that time, I'd finished school, and I was still going to work, but my brother was like, all right, you got no excuses anymore. Let's hit the gym. And ever since June of last year.
Yeah, bro, I see you, bro. I see the gains.
Nah, it's a little bit. trying to get there. Like you have more games than I do, but I'm gonna say something very unconventional and somewhat controversial. I hate going to the gym, but it's something that I feel right now it's necessary. You know, like that video, the guy says like, "Fuck, I don't want to do this shit."
Yeah.
But it has to be fucking done.
Yeah.
And I feel like okay, I'm sacrificing right now like a lot, I guess, in terms of like not eating healthy, but in the long run, it's gonna help because I won't have high cholesterol, I won't have diabetes, I won't have, I guess, chance of I don't know, heart disease or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there are certain days that are like, man, like I really don't want to go, but I just tell myself, all right, stop being a little bitch and just go to the gym. You know, get it, and it helps. I get it because after the gym, you do feel like energized and stuff. But it's just for me, the hardest part is just going to the gym because I finish work, and then I take like a 15-minute break and then I head to the gym. You know what I mean? And I know, like, if I was more like, okay, I would go like in the morning,
right,
like
right,
at 6 a.m. Get that shit done, and then exactly.
I don't know about that.
I know, it's hard as fuck, and then do work, you know, and then have the rest of the day. But it's hard, man. It's hard, but
it is hard.
It has become a habit. People say it takes 16 days for you to do something for it to become a habit. I remember those for first 16 days. I did it. I went to the gym consecutively. And then when I missed the gym, I think I already had become a habit. I missed the gym once and I was like, damn, like that felt bad. Like I need to go. I need to make up for it. So that's where I'm at right now. You know, I guess we just have to keep going at it. You know? And I'm not trying to be like, you know, what do you call it, like a bodybuilder, weightlifter.
Yeah.
I just want to be healthy enough so when I do the next blood test, I don't have high cholesterol and I'm healthy and all that.
Yeah, I could even tell like almost an opposite story, or not the opposite, but just take care of your body, just in general, like a lesson. Because like I remember back 2015, I believe, I had to check out like on a not a sonogram, what is it called, MRI.
Okay.
Because my kidneys like weren't processing what they weren't doing their jobs. They weren't working properly. So I had pain in my back, and I thought it was just my back. I messed up something at the gym, but no, I got the MRI, and they told me like, listen, like you got too much creatine in your system. Your body already produces high amount of creatine, but you're taking all these supplements and you're not hydrated. You're not drinking enough water. You're not flushing it out of your system correctly. Yeah. And yeah, so I don't take any supplements now. Like maybe
I stopped taking two.
Yeah, every now and then I'll go to I'll get like a protein smoothie or something after a good workout or something. But to have that every day, 2-3 shakes a day, every single day, no, man.
No.
It's
at first it was
not
just
good.
After a workout, but then I was like, you know what? Let me just raw dog this.
Raw dog.
For lack
No,
of a
no
better,
pre-workout.
For a lack of a better word.
No pre-workout.
Yeah. I mean, it helped at the beginning because I was like straight up lanky, scrawny. I still am, but I'm just saying like it helps at the beginning. I was like, you know what? Let me just not do this, and I'm still seeing results. You know, I started last year in June. I couldn't do one pull-up. Now I can do 8 by myself.
That's awesome.
I'm not Brian. I'm just saying.
Navy SEAL out here.
And it's been crazy. That's something else that we kind of agreed to talk about today. Ever since we last saw each other, I think the biggest threat was Donald Trump's Twitter. But now we know what's happening over there. You know, and
Yeah.
it's fucked up. But I feel like, in a way, there's only so much that we can do. Right?
Look, I just wanted to say one thing, okay? And I'm not making a joke about it, but it's just on Instagram the other day, I saw one of my friends repost, it was like hashtag pray for Ukraine. We'll plant a tree, or we'll send, $1 or something per repost, one of these. And like he posted it, and I messaged and I was like, bro, you know that they're not gonna do it, like they're not doing anything. Oh, but they send a certain amount of money per repost, or
yeah.
I'm like, how would they even track that? Like, I don't know how they would track that.
Could track it, but the
They're not going to.
actual part of doing it is hard.
They're not going
where
to.
are they gonna plant those trees? What, in Ukraine?
What is the tree gonna do?
No. The tree's getting bombed right now. I'm sorry.
So,
Fucked up,
no,
no,
but
no.
yeah, that's the point. Like, you know, it's about virtue signaling almost. So there's some of that going on, but I mean, in terms of the actual events happening, I mean, of course, there is a history lesson that I think everybody should go out and, you know, take into account. Not to say that the guy, everything he says is you know, a fact based and not opinionated, but
You're
I
talking about Putin?
but I watched the video of Putin, you know, giving his speech with the subtitles, and I got to
Yeah, it was like
sit
5
through.
minutes.
No, but, I mean, I think the video was like 27, 30 minutes. Yeah,
My bad.
but no, it's cool. But yeah, I sat through it and I shook my head at some of the stuff, but you know, it's like you have to understand it's a different perspective of things. This guy's not doing this because he's just insane and has no plan. No, he's got a plan, and he has reasons behind what he's doing and whatever, right? This is objectively right. But yeah, the history lesson, definitely take a look because things are complicated. Like, this issue is super complicated. It's not just Russia wanting to invade Ukraine, which my opinion, if I could share it, of course I can share it. I think it's wrong, you know, causing death and damage everywhere. But what I'm saying is it's a very complex issue, and personally, as an American, unfortunately, we're not getting the facts all the time from our news outlets to know 100% what's going on. So, got to do our research. And
the ones I know are pretty much the ones there, which we saw right now.
Yeah.
I saw some reporters from CNN. I'm pretty sure there was a lot more reporters now, which is crazy because you see the actual like Russian soldiers on streets, regular ass Camrys on the road, you know, getting fucking shot at, you know, tanks running over people.
Yeah.
You know, and then now we saw Sean Penn's actually doing a documentary over there.
Yeah,
which I don't know how that's gonna turn out. I mean, like, damn, like, was he ready to be there when Russia invaded? We'll see, man.
I don't know. He's also very politically
Exactly.
inclined as well. That's all I'll say. Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, like, damn, like, I wish I wasn't living through another historical event right now.
Right. We've gone through like 15 in 3 episodes.
I mean, we just got rid of, low-key kind of got rid of COVID just to get into World War III, man. Like, it's just so whack, bro.
Yep.
Like, we can't catch a break.
We cannot catch a break.
Yeah, shit's whack, man. There was this, I'm only getting, like, not my known news, but there's someone I follow on Instagram. Like, she's been posting a lot about, like, the Ukrainian conflict, and so far, like, you can tell it's actual people from Ukraine, like, videos I see before they're published on Twitter or something, and I'm like, holy fuck, like, look at this, like, fucking dogfights, you know, helicopters going down, civilians just getting shot in
Damn.
their apartments, you know. So, in a way, like, we're very fortunate, privileged, and lucky to be here right now when we don't have to completely worry about that.
No, absolutely.
So
We're doing a podcast.
Right. Like, how much first world can you get?
Yeah.
What I was gonna say. So in a way, like, we shouldn't take this for granted. You know, imagine doing this shit right now in Ukraine or Russia. Like, this shit is censored. This type of shit is censored over there. So you know, we're lucky. You know, and I don't take it for granted. I hope we don't get drafted. You know, apparently they
Are you
able-bodied men from like 18 to whatever. I think to like what 50 or
660 or something.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? In Ukraine, like, if you're an able-bodied man from 18 to 60, you can't leave. You shouldn't leave the country. Which is why, like, that father, like, he sent his daughter somewhere else so that he could save some. He stayed behind. So
Yeah,
we
it's
really take a lot of things for granted.
Yeah.
Like, and war, you know, like, war is too good for nothing. I'm quoting a veteran from World War II. He's like, that's dumb. You know, it's old people fighting for and making young people fight for whatever they want to. At the end of the day, like, it's the common folk who suffer. So it's fucked up. And that's just one conflict that was 10 million people forgot about. You know,
ISIS.
Syria, people forgot about, you know, ISIS, Somalia. And yesterday I saw an infographic. And that shit's still
Yemen,
going on.
Yemen,
That
yeah.
shit's still going on. We just
Syria,
don't hear
yeah.
about it. You know, so like it's, again, we're fed what they want us to feed us. Yeah. So if you're not like informed, there's a lot of like ignorance. But again, in a way, ignorance is bliss.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of like wanna two things. And this one of the things I've always constantly quote, right, is from that movie Lord of War.
Okay.
So context, you know, he's a gun runner.
Yeah.
And he's based off like a real gun runner back in the 80s during the Cold War. Eventually he was gun running for the United States. Anyways, there's this scene where like he's doing a transaction with Sierra Leone like gun runners, and they were gonna use the guns to kill a village. And his brother, the main character played by Nicolas Cage, he tells him like, don't do it because these people are gonna use those guns to kill the villagers. And he's like, we don't get involved in that. That's not our job. My job is just to sell guns. And so he does the transaction and everything, and he then the gun runners use the guns to kill a village, and then the movie goes like, oh, the massacre played out exactly how Vitali predicted. But then again, a dozen other massacres occurred in Sierra Leone that week. You can't stop them all. In my experience, you can't stop any of them. They say that evil prevails when good men fail to act. But what they ought to say is,
I don't know.
evil prevails.
Evil prevails. Okay.
And I know that sounds like very nihilistic, but think about it. How many people die in a day? I think on average, 35,000 people?
Yeah.
And then the ending of that movie, it's also really good. A quote that's very relevant right now. It goes like this. I posted it too. You know who's going to inherit the earth? Arms dealers. Because everybody else is too busy killing each other. And that's the secret to survival. Never go to war. Especially with yourself. So, it's crazy.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a deep one.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
And, just, good luck to all those people out there. There's not much I can say again. And again, it's like a lot deeper than we're given. So.
Yeah, it's there's ethnic Russians. I believe I could be wrong, but I'm just gonna generalize it in a sense. But there's ethnic Russians who feel that the Russian government should be the rightful, government in Ukraine or whatnot, and the country's divided, and it's really reminiscent of some of the stuff that United States has done, when it comes to the Middle East and invading countries, and it's a very complex issue, and I feel like no government right now is one to act innocent. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Yeah, it's a game of chess.
Oh, also, two hip hop songs from J. Cole. One of them is Kenny Lofton, and the other one is High for Hours. I'm pretty sure you heard
Yeah, High.
So Kenny Lofton, there's these lyrics from J. Cole where Obama asks him, hey, can you tell everyone to vote for me? And then he's like, bro, how can I, knowing what I know? It's a game of charades masquerading for the dough. Watching the teleprompters, these N-words are actors on the low, right? So I'm like, yo, that's bars. And then High for Hours, like the whole revolution.
Yeah.
It's like, if you tumble a government, you're only going to make a worse one because we repeat the same cycle over and over again. Power corrupts, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that reminded me of what you said. Like there's more to it. So.
Yeah, it's very complex, and we're complex, as we discovered going back to the conversation about psychedelics and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But you know what? Okay, I'm gonna end with this too.
Yeah.
You said it, and I hope it's okay that
you could say it. Yeah.
You said to me one time, regarding like God and stuff. It's like God knows, like, hey, look, I know I'm not cookie cutter, but at least I know my heart is in the right place.
Yeah.
And I resonate with that.
Yeah.
I'm tired of like, okay, like, that's sweat, like, you didn't know anything about me. You know what I mean? Like, it's deeper. You get me? So that's why I fuck with you, because you're into all this. So, you're a really good friend. Like, you get it.
Thank you, bro.
Like, you're not shallow. Like
Yeah, in the world of like social media and having to be cookie cutter, you know, it's like nobody's like that. So yeah, bro.
One more thing.
Yeah.
I do want to shout out my cousin Bernardo, aka Vito, aka B Dash Doe.
Big baller.
He stays over there in Forest, Mississippi. If you're watching, what's up, man? I have nothing but love for you. Be sure to check out his YouTube channel. It's called BMG2K. He posts his basketball games. He streams 2K every once in a while. So I just wanted to give him a quick shout out. And thanks again for the time here. I know the beginning we might hear some people, a guy screaming again, like that was just a guy getting into, you know.
That's just work.
Yeah. So thanks again, man. Thanks for the invite.
No problem, man.
And I hope to do this again.
All right.